Hi. I have not done a live stream in a while. Sorry. Haven't been really feeling, that motivated. But now that the election is over, finally, yay, there's a lot to talk about. So I feel like, it's time to do a live stream on these issues. And at the same time, I can take questions as they come in. And then when we don't have a lot of questions, then we will go ahead and talk about, what to expect immigration-wise with our new president. Okay, so before we start, I don't know if I've changed the. Well, I'm gonna try to. Okay, so I edited audience, but that's for people who can see. But I need to change the settings so that people who are only following me can also comment and ask questions. But I haven't really figured out how to do that. So right now you have to be my friend on Facebook in order to be able to post a comment. So if you can't post a comment, you can always reach out later with like Facebook Messenger and ask your question. So don't fret, don't get frustrated if you can't ask a question now. You can always ask a question, later, because my friends list is full, so I cannot add more people as friends. I can only have more followers. So I'm so sorry if you can't ask a question right away as we're doing this, but you can always ask a question through Facebook Messenger and I will respond. So just be a little bit more patient. And as I delete friends that become inactive, you can always request that you be added. And if you're convincing enough, I will add you, and later on you'll be able to ask questions in the live stream. I haven't really exactly figured out how it's gonna work. So like who to add, who not to add. Because a lot of times I add someone and then like they don't want that person to stop using Facebook. So it's like, okay, like why the hell did I add you in the first place? Anyway, I only want to add people who are active. All right, so Biden got reelected. Or has he? Did he win already, or is it just like a projected win? There are going to be recounts, so, and especially in like Georgia, Pennsylvania, Nevada, and in Arizona, the votes were really, really close. So we might not see a final absolute resolution of the, presidential election for like the next few weeks. So, what to expect if Biden becomes the president? Okay, so, let me see. There are already so many questions coming in. So let me take the questions and then I will eliminate the discussion points. I'll merge my discussion points with the questions. I think that's more effective. So yeah, I have my little like cheat sheets here, like about what I'm going to talk about. Okay, so the first question says, after Biden taking oath, do you think he stops the Trump executive orders related to travel ban? Yes. So he's going to eliminate, I think, all the travel bans. I'm not sure about the one from China. We'll see about that one. But all the other ones are going to be gone. But I think that's not really the problem because right now, most of the travel bans are gone. The problem is that the consulates have experienced prolonged closures, and these closures have affected, visa appointments. And now, due to like a second, third, fourth, whatever coronavirus surge in other countries, a lot of the consulates are closed down again. But that's not because of the travel ban. So if you can't get a visa, it's not because of the travel ban. It's because there is no appointments available. The consulates are not open. They're understaffed and they're being hit hard by the virus. And the staff doesn't want to interface a bunch of people who might already be infected. So that's really the problem. And hopefully Biden can address that issue and implement some kind of a face covering mandate that allows visa applicants to attend interviews, maybe like stand 10 feet away and speak into a microphone or like a walkie-talkie, and then the visa officer can then like interview them with like mask on and like with earphones. So there's like extreme social distancing. I don't know. There must be something that can be done. And I'm sure Biden, in his infinite wisdom, is going to figure that out, hopefully. Okay, next question. But that's a good question. I like that question. Next question says, nowadays, USCIS takes additional time to process applications of any kind. I disagree with that. Actually, I was just doing another live stream. A lot of applications are actually sped up. For example, for CO9 EADs, I've seen 4-month approvals and 3 months approvals now versus 6 months on average before. And then a lot of H-1Bs were also approved really quickly this year. And there were some applications that takes longer, like the I-539s for extension or change of status are taking longer, that's true. Sometimes, some places, citizenship applications are taking longer, but generally speaking, I think that some application actually, like I-90 renewing green card also is faster for some people in some areas. So anyway, I don't want to miscite the question, so will it improve? Like 485 application takes more than a month to get a notice. Okay, so you're not talking about adjudication, you're talking about logistics, like getting the receipts. Getting the receipts is gonna be slow for the next few months. Why? Because there's the I-944 thing, like once it's required and it's not required, now it's required again. So like the people that are generating the receipts don't know what to do. Like the screeners are taking longer to screen cases that are filed, because like the rules change all the time. Okay, you're not talking about adjudication, you're talking about getting the receipts, which I think that there will be several months of just working through the kinks and the problems, the uncertainties about what's required and what's not required. So it's gonna take a while. Yeah, so that's not really, it's not, okay, yeah, you said process applications. So I took that to mean like review applications, but you meant like actual intaking the applications. So yeah, that's gonna take time. Next question, how about new minimum wage rule? Gone. Like I said, I think that's the first thing that's going to be gone, because that rule is already going through the courts right now. So if Biden's administration just says, oh no, we're gonna reverse it, then that issue becomes moot in court, then the whole case goes away. So I would probably address that if I'm like, you know, the immigration advisor in Biden's administration. I probably won't ever be that, but okay. That's the first thing I would go to, because that's really the biggest hurdle at this time that's stopping people from applying for H-1B extensions, you know, applying for a green card. So it's causing a lot of the highly educated people to leave or to face difficult issues with renewing their H-1B status. So that's the first rule that's got to go. Okay, next question. More interested in hearing on clearing the backlog for Indian-born. There's no backlog. There's only too many people applying. And that's not a backlog. I mean, a backlog means like everybody's eligible, but the review is slow. No, but right now it's that everybody who applied doesn't have a quota, because there's a percentage of, you know, immigration that's assigned to Indians, and when there's too many applicants, then you know you don't get to process very quickly. So it's not really a backlog. It's just one of those, like, your line is too long because there are 5 million Indians waiting in front of you, and you gotta wait in line kind of situation. Okay, but you know there's the S whatever law, fairness. It's gonna, like, you know, somehow make it more fair, and Indians could get it faster, like Chinese people can get it faster. Sure, but just don't make everybody else wait longer, because, you know, like, I'm from a country where there's aren't a lot of people applying, so why should I be waiting 3 years so that the Indians can wait from 8 years down to 5 years? I mean, when you talk about fairness, I mean, what is fair? I mean, that's definitely something that needs to be discussed, and I haven't really fully formed my opinion on that. But as an immigration attorney, I definitely don't want people to wait any longer than necessary. Of course, faster was better. But the only way to do that is to open up the quota. So instead of 8% every year, do 15% or 20%. That way, you know, when you open up the quota for immigration, then you're gonna have more people, and if you have more people, then you have more quotas available, and when you have more quotas available, then the backlog will, you know, be less severe. So I think the only way to really resolve that is to maybe call or write your congressman to have them rewrite the laws, because they're the only one that can rewrite the laws to increase the percentage from 8% to 20%, and, you know, increase the total number of possible immigrants that can come in under the employment-based categories. But then, I think that's going to actually be faster these days because this year they started using the rollover numbers from family-based to employment-based, which means that all the numbers that are not, or the quota that's not used in family-based, they're going to remove that and start applying them to employment-based. So there'll be more quotas opened up for employment-based. So I think it should be faster from this point on. I mean, it's not going to be lightning fast, of course. I don't expect, like suddenly Chinese people can get a green card through EB like in a year. I mean, that's not going to happen in the near future. But remember what happened in October. Now the priority date suddenly moved up for like filing dates to 2014. So a lot of people who had, I-140s filed back then can now file like an I-1 I-485 by doing a downgrade. When you have a pending I-485, you're much more mobile. You can change employers and all that. So if you have still contact with your old employer that filed the I-140 and got it approved, that's also another way to go. So not everything needs to be, I guess, legislative. Okay. Next, what about H-1B wage rule? So I already addressed that. Okay, so I'll skip that. I think the new wage rule should be eliminated pretty quickly. Next question, any thoughts about resuming the consulates for regular H1 if you're talking about India? Depends on COVID-19. I don't know how COVID is doing in India, but I heard it's not well. So if it's not well, then the consulate probably won't want to reopen because they're going to have to interface with the 100 people from all over the place every day. And until the Biden administration appoints someone to the Department of State that has, half of a brain who can like fight COVID, I mean, there need to be a protocol on how like to social distance all these visa applicants. If not, then it's really a risk, opening up the consulate to visa appointments and subject all these visa officers to possible contagious illness. So that wouldn't be fair. So my thoughts about resuming the consulate for regular H-1B is that the Department of State needs to implement some kind of protocol for social distancing to protect visa officers from contracting, COVID-19. I think that needs to be done first. Okay, next, is the minimum wage rule already in effect? Yes, it is. If you're talking about the prevailing wage rule, there is no minimum wage rule. There's only prevailing wage rule, and those are two very different concepts. Minimum wage is like how much you must be paid by state law or federal law to work at a location. But prevailing wage is how much you need to be paid in order to get your H-1Bs or green card applications approved. Totally different things. Okay, next question. FLDC.com. Is someone spamming this this little live stream? Oh, I'm gonna come after you. Okay, moving on. Is the wage okay? Everybody, don't click on that link. It's spam. Okay, next link. Next person. Is the wage updated already on FLC? No, but I don't think it needs to be updated because they just changed the calculation. So, is that updated? It may be. I have to check. But then it's the calculation that's updated. So, like if you have level 1, instead of being at 17% and now it's at 45%. So you just take the 45% range. And I don't know if it's published already. Probably it is, because usually my paralegal checks it. I don't. So sorry, but it's on OFLC. You can go on that website and check it. It's OFLC, on language library. So just Google OFLC on language library. You'll be able to take you directly to that website. Put in your location. Put in your position. You'll see. Okay, next. Yes. Oh. What is going on? Okay, so that doesn't look like a spam. So it's like someone's trying to give the OFLC website, but that's the wrong website, I think. Because I think it's a .gov website. It's not a .com. All right, moving on. Thank you, John. I hope you're doing well in Canada. Next question, how would I know if my I-485 package was sent to USC as lockbox? Well, you would use certified mail, and it has a delivery confirmation. You can type in the delivery number on the USPS to confirm that it's been delivered. If it's delivered, it's there. So that's how you would know if your I-485 package has been delivered to the USC as lockbox. Okay, next question. Is it same wage for both H1 and GC? No, they're not always the same. Or is there a different website? FLDC.com, what is that? Is that even like a wage website? Let me try to click on that. Okay, so it's running. It's not showing anything. Well, I'm in Taiwan right now, so you know the message has to be sent back to the US and then sent back to me, so it could be slow. But that website doesn't look right. Can someone tell me if that's a right website? I don't think it's a right website. I think it's like a .gov website. Okay, next, let's see. Oh, someone loves my response. Thank you. And will Biden stop the DHS rumored rule that they are going to stop the lottery and pick H-1B based on wage level? Yes, that's another priority to stop, because I think that the H-1B registration, and I was going to talk about it in a little cheat sheet, so I'm glad you brought it up. So I think that the registration for H-1B next year is going to be the same as this year. It's not going to be based on how much the salary is. It's going to be based on just like an initial registration, and then, you know, when you're selected in the lottery, then you submit the petition. That's going to kill a lot of immigration lawyers, but it's better for the H-1B employees, of course, because you don't need to pay thousands of dollars of attorney's fees to prepare the application to send it out. It's a good idea to do the lottery first and have people register for lottery, and then decide who needs to submit the application, instead of having everyone submit the application and then figure out who wins the lottery. That's just ridiculous. But so I like the most recent year, like this year's way of doing things. It's much more civil, and you know, I mean, of course I make less money, but so what? I mean, there's always more money in other kind of cases. So yes, I do not believe that next year it will be any different than this year. So the whole like, oh, let's pick people let's pick people first who are paid higher salaries, not gonna happen. Not under Biden's watch, I don't think. Okay, so okay, so it is same for both. I think Monthan, I need to clarify on that. Like when you look on the H-1B prevailing wage, you can get the data directly from the website, from the OFLC website, yes. But when you do a prevailing wage for perm, even if you put in exactly the same requirement, the prevailing wage could come back different. It could be slightly higher or slightly lower, so it's not always the same. I just want to clarify that. Okay, next question. Will Biden remove wage-based lottery for 2021? Yes, he will. Next question. When will the 90 percentile wage rule for H-1B be removed? The answer is soon, after Biden takes office. Okay. Next question. With the COVID issue, do you think Department of State will do something to our country of stamping? Maybe we can go to other countries where consulates are open for stamping. You can always go to other countries now if you're able to enter that country for, I mean, third country visa stamping has always been there, and people have always done that. Like Mexico has always been a popular location to go, even today, because they frankly don't care about COVID-19. So, so they're open, I guess. So it's always been there. It's just whether you can get into that country, because a lot of countries, they have visa restrictions against other countries, so you can't get in there. That's usually the problem. Okay. So finally, Manthan, thank you. That's the correct website. I can vouch because it says flcdatacenter.com. So it's not a .gov, it's a .com. But yeah, because that link looked wrong. Next question. Do we know if Biden administration would not want wage level hike going into effect on 12/7? I think the wage hike has already gone into effect. Didn't it go into effect in October? Like, I thought that's when it went into effect. I don't know if Biden can stop it because, you know, because actually somebody's calling me. 1 second. I'm back. So let's look at the next question. Um, oh, we were talking about December 7th or like the wage level because Biden's not the president until like January. So I don't think that he's going to be able to be like, oh, this is gone. Oh, that's gone. So the only entity that can eliminate the wage hike before then is the court. So right now the court hasn't really done anything. I mean, it's like beginning of November and the court has had the case since what, like the end of October. That's still considered very short amount of time for U.S. courts because U.S. courts, can take a while. So, and perhaps, the parties have not really formed the right argument because you don't want to rush this kind of thing because if the court decides against you, then that's like forever. I mean, not forever, but like for a long time. So, as if I'm the counsel fighting this issue, I would definitely want to make the best argument going forward, and that takes time to do research and formulate the argument, draft, the paperwork. It takes time, so it's definitely don't want to rush it. But before December 7th, probably not that fast because Biden is not in office at that time. Okay, so next question. Will there be third lottery for H-1B for 2020? Application still shows as submitted. I doubt there is a third lottery because we're already in a new fiscal year and I think that all the quota is used up. It's just that USCIS has been too busy and lazy and they have not updated their H-1B lottery quota system, so that's why everybody still shows submitted. But I don't think that there's going to be a third lottery. I mean, I would be very shocked if there is. They haven't said anything about it and no one's ever come out and said there could possibly be like a third lottery, so no. Next question. Mexico does care about COVID, just so you know. I'm sorry. Okay, Mexico cares about COVID. I was wrong. Mexico does care about COVID. Yes. And only the US doesn't care about COVID because we have so many cases. Right. Okay, next question. Okay, let's not start a fight about whether Mexico cares about COVID or not. I'm just saying like in countries that aren't really concerned about COVID, the consulates are more inclined to open for regular appointments. That's what I should have said, and I would like to correct myself. Okay, next question. Joe Biden plans to increase H-1B visa limit and remove country quota for green cards. Is that statement true? No, it's not true. Okay, so you're talking about the Fairness Act, whatever the country, I can never remember, S387 or S, whatever the hell it was. Okay, I have it written down here. It's oh God, where's my notes? Oh, there we go, S386. You're talking about S386. Okay. So is that statement true? No, because I think S386, the fairness whatever thing, is a bipartisan law. So that always sounds good, but it could also not be good because bipartisan, but it not pass. That means within each party themselves, there are people for it and there are people against it. There are people for it, there are people against it. Like within Democratic Party, there are people for it, against it. There within the Republican Party, there are people for it and there are people against it. I mean, as you can see, the people who are going to be for it are going to be the Chinese people and the Indian people because they have to wait for a long time. And maybe another country that's been waiting for a long time for EBs. And people who are against it are going to be like, I don't know, like people who are not Chinese and not Indians because they don't want to wait longer just because the Indians, the Chinese want to wait shorter amount of time. So what is fair? I mean, nobody really knows. So that statement definitely is not true. I don't think Joe Biden plans to increase. I don't think Joe Biden plans to remove country quota for green cards, but increase H-1B visa limit maybe. But that's something only Congress can do. I mean, Biden can't suddenly increase 85 to like 100,000. He doesn't have the power to do that, and he's not gonna act like Donald Trump where like he does things where he has no power to do. Okay, so the next question. So this means we can go to third country for fresh change of status H1 stamping. There's no change of status H1 stamping. There's only H1 stamping. And you can get H1 stamping from pretty much any country that will take you. Sometimes the consulates won't take you because you're not a resident of that country, or you're just there for stamping and their policy is not to take you at the time when they're really busy. So, I mean, it really depends. Third-party visa stamping is very unpredictable, but it's definitely possible. I mean, people have done it. I know that for sure. We have a lot of clients who do it, but we can never tell them like for sure you'll get serviced in that country, especially if you're not a resident. Like if you're just visiting for the sake of stamping, they might not take you. Okay, next question. Sorry, a little confused. Where can I find prevailing wage for my GC application? You cannot find it. You can only apply with Department of Labor, and they'll get back to you. It's called the prevailing wage application, and they will return with the prevailing wage determination. Then you'll know what the prevailing wage is based on the requirements you've set for the position, such as the educational requirement and work experience requirement, things like that. Next question. Any relaxation on H1B RFE timeline or J1 visa waiver? So there are two very different questions. Relaxation on H1B RFE timeline, relaxation on H1B RFE timeline, maybe, because COVID's still happening, so possibly, I'm not sure. J1 visa waiver, what is that about? J1 visa waiver is for like the 212E. That doesn't really have a deadline, so relaxation, you mean like for hardship? No, I haven't heard anything about that, but it's possible, I guess. I mean, the J1 visa waiver for 212E, if you're doing the hardship waiver, it's generally not that difficult, but I would recommend just doing a no objection waiver. That's much faster and much more for sure. Okay, somebody says it's S386. Yes, I found my notes. Thank you very much. Next question. My lawyer filed I-140 and I-485 concurrently 2 weeks back. My lawyer filed I-140, I-485 concurrently 2 weeks back. After that, I moved to a new place and I have updated address to forward my mail, but they said if the mail says unforwardable in the letter, they won't forward it. I know we can change address in USCIS using our receipt, but my question is, can we change address in USCIS even before receiving the receipt? You can, but there's no case number. I mean, hopefully that would work. You can. How long it takes to receive the receipt? Like 4 to 5 weeks? The check I sent to USCIS hasn't been deducted from my bank yet because it's only been like 2 weeks, you sent? 2 weeks back, yeah. Usually it takes 4 or 5 weeks now. It's pretty long. The check I sent has not been cashed yet, so I believe they haven't opened my file yet. How long does it take for the process until I receive GCEAD? GCEAD now could be 4 months. Like I said, I've just seen a 4-month approval for GCEAD under CO9 code, and could be 5 months, and I think the latest 6 months generally. And that 4-month approval person didn't even do biometrics. So biometrics doesn't seem to be that required for some, EAD applicant. So in this situation, you have a lawyer, so that's great because the lawyer gets duplicate receipts, so they can just send it to you. You can just use that receipt to follow up. So you don't actually need any receipts to be sent to your home address. The I-485 receipt should be also sent to the lawyer if they put in a G28 for the I-485. I would always do that just because I want duplicate receipts in case clients' receipts go missing, because you don't want receipts to go missing. It's a very terrible situation. So hopefully your lawyer actually put a G28 in for the I-485, so they get receipts for you and they can send it to you. When they have it, then you don't have to worry about changing address, because changing address with USCIS is a pain in the ass. It's very, very difficult, and even if you change it, sometimes they don't update in the system and you don't see it, you don't get the receipts, and also sometimes they don't even, your situation is different also. Your cases haven't been filed. So sometimes the the address update is going to just get sort of crossed, because you haven't really filed it and they don't know what to update. It's just a recipe for disaster. So if your lawyer has a G28 for the I-485, just wait for the receipt to be sent to him so he can send to you. Next question. Lottery pick based on wage level going to come next year? No, we already covered that. It will be killed. Next question. And lottery for next year's H1B will probably be the same as this year's. Next question. We see a lot of applications under Admin 221G processing when people go for visa stamping. Do you think Biden being president brings less number 221G, or is it irrelevant? Of course, I think Biden's going to appoint someone who to head the Department of State, and that person probably will be much better than Pompeo. And wait, is Pompeo even like the head of the DOS? Who's the head of DOS? I don't even remember, but it's gonna be better than that person anyway. I can tell you that. So when you have a better head of Department of State, then they're going to implement better rules for visa issuance, and they're going to get rid of some of the 221Gs, because a lot of 221Gs result from background checks that are just required by, I don't know, stupid people like in Trump administration, like Stephen Miller or whoever. So I think we will see less 221Gs when we have a new administration. So that's definitely really, really good news. Next question. My I-140 is not approved yet. So will new wage requirements applicable to on my application? No, it will not, because your prevailing wage is already set. Your prevailing wage determination is already done and issued way before the new rule comes into play. Next question. It's almost 10:40 here. Can we have a quick walk through your notes and come back to the comment section, please? Thank you. Thank you. Okay, somebody wants to hear from my notes. Okay, I will do that. All right, so I start with legal immigration. What I think, Biden will do with legal immigration. Well, I think that Democrat has to control both the House of the Senate and the House of Representative. Now they only control House of Representative, and even they're on a thin margin. And like Senate, they have two runoff races in Georgia that will determine who controls the House. So it's up in the air. So like comprehensive immigration reform probably not gonna happen unless Democrats win both of the runoff elections in Georgia. And by just saying that, I already know the chance is slim to none, because people hate Trump, but people still love the Republican Party in Georgia. Okay, next I have high skill immigration, legislative moves, increasing green card numbers, increasing decreasing waiting time, opening up the quota. That all requires Congress, and requires probably like a democratically controlled Congress, which we don't know will happen, probably not. So that's what I have. And the policies that will be reversed: higher prevailing wage policy probably will be reversed. Change of specialty occupation will be reversed, but I think that they might keep the 1 year thing for people who are working offsite at client location. Why? Because that's gonna make them a lot of money. Just imagine, if I'm giving H-1Bs normally for 3 years, but I only have to give 1 year for people who work at client location, then that means that these people have to apply for extensions every year, and that means tripling the filing fees for H-1B for this large group of IT individuals. So if it's to make more money, why not? So I think that they are going to probably maybe keep that, but the specialty occupation definition will definitely be gone. Because there's already enough precedents for that. There's no need to redefine or in any way define specialty occupation. We already know what it is. Like, for God's sake, we know what it is already. So next question. Next thing is highest to lowest salary in selection system for H-1B, gone. Not gonna happen. Next question. Getting rid of the backlog. And by backlog, I mean like the cases that are filed and waiting to be adjudicated. I don't mean like waiting for priority date. That's not a backlog. So backlog is like, cases that are already filed with USCIS that's waiting for a decision. That's still going to be a while, because right now, even in the pandemic, with less people filing, USCIS is still a mess. So to work to the backlog, you need a really good director, and you need really good protocols. So that's going to still take another maybe year to kind of slowly chip away all the terrible backlogs that's been there so far. And backlog has always been a legacy problem for USCIS. So it's not something that can be addressed very quickly, or that can be just magically eliminated. It's really, really difficult. But I think one thing that they will eliminate is that terrible memo about reviewing all the applications for extensions anew. So there's a memo that says, okay, we don't care if your H-1B was approved. We're gonna review it from with a fresh set of eyes, and we can deny it too if we just look at it and think that it's now not meeting the requirements. That memo's gotta go, because that's creating a lot of backlogs. Because when your H-1B is already approved and you're filing an extension and everything seems pretty much the same, then what the hell do you need to look at it again? You should just approve it because it's the same thing that you approved 3 years ago or 2 years ago, whatever. So definitely, I mean, if you're going to a different position, a different employer, yeah, a review is required, but you should always give deference to something you approved, especially when nothing substantial has changed. So that's going to increase efficiency. So that terrible memo, I think, will be eliminated and it has to go. Now, moving on to the proclamations. So right now, the only proclamations that's still hanging there that's survived, an onslaught of like court decisions is the family one, where like if you're not like a immediate relative, like your sister, brother, or whatever, like DV lottery or whatever, you haven't gotten your visa, then you have to wait till the end of 2020. And now we're already almost at the end of 2020. So that it's going to be gone and definitely no chance of being renewed under the Biden administration because it's just a stupid policy. It doesn't help with COVID, it doesn't help with job market, whatever. So that's going to be gone. Hopefully Biden eliminates it before the end of the year, but that's not likely because he's not going to be inaugurated until January. Next one is public charge. Gone. Okay, so even if the court doesn't take care of that now, I mean, right now it's like, okay, so the district court says you can't do it, bad policy, and then the circuit court comes back and says, no, you can do it. Now let's keep it going. I'm just like, what? Fine. So now you still have to submit an I-944 when you're applying for adjustment of status, but once Biden takes office, I think this stupid public charge rule is going to be gone because it doesn't help anybody. I mean, you collect all these data, you're not going to use it. So what the hell, do it. And like it just creates so much confusion, like what's required, what's not. You didn't even tell people like what kind of documents you want. And you just tell them you want the form, and then the next minute you say you don't want the form, now you want the form. What the hell do you want, right? So it's like bad policy. And H4 EAD, well, that's also going through the courts right now. Hopefully that speeds up. I don't know if Biden can do much about that because it's all like the stupid biometrics policy that's like holding these things up. So maybe he can get rid of the biometric policy, then everybody will be happy, everything will be faster. That's another thing to address the backlog is the stupid the biometric policy. Just get rid of that, then things will be much faster. Okay, DACA. Well, we're definitely going to see DACA come back because the only person that's against DACA is Donald Trump. So everybody pretty much love it. Okay, next one is the limit of stay of international students. Oh yeah, there was that memo about like, getting rid of duration of status of international students going to accrue unlawful presence if they fall out of status. That memo is going to be gone. No one's going to enforce that. Next one is allow asylum seekers at the southern border. Yeah, well, that's reasonable. That's what's been how it's done for like thousands of years. No, for the last 100 years. Okay. And I think most exciting, I think Biden's going to go work on the startup visa. That was introduced actually surprisingly by Donald Trump, who loves investment. Okay, so he's going to give like entrepreneurs a startup parole to let them like stay in the United States if they invest in a company or start their own company or whatever. Now, and then like after it was introduced, actually I think it was introduced by President Obama's administration. And then I thought that Trump would like vamp it up and like do it because that's such like recipe for corruption. Like you can definitely sell it all to your friends, for like Trump. But surprisingly, he didn't go for it. Like he just kind of like shut it down. So hopefully we'll see something like that, an entrepreneur parole to come back because that would definitely be helpful for a lot of international students who don't want to dive into the cesspool that is the IT community, and they can like start their own IT company and like do their own thing. So that would be very exciting. Okay, well that's all I have from my notes. Okay, so let's come back to the questions. Oh great, there's not that many more questions, so that's good. What is the normal processing time for I-140 without premium processing when it's filed concurrently with the I-45? About 6 to 8 months. In some places, 5 months, depending on which service center you're working with, and depending on the officer in that service center, if they're good, if you're lucky to have a good one or a bad one. And it also depends on the strength of your I-140. Was the perm done well? Was the perm done poorly? Is the company really strong as an employer, or is the company really small? Or a lot of factors go into that, but I would say if you're lucky, 5 months. If not, 6 to 8 months. Some people have I-140s pending for 10 to 12 months, but I would say if it takes too long, premium process it, then you know what the problem is. Next one, can I work on GCEAD while my F1 Visa Master, while on F1 Visa Master program? Can I work on GCEAD while on F1 Visa Master program? Good question. I would say yes, but what I'm saying is that you can actually use the EAD to work, but you're not on F1 anymore. But you can also use the EAD to attend your master program. So you're not really on F1 anymore if you use GCEAD to work. So I mean the F1 is still there, it's not like terminated. I think your CBIS would still survive doing this. Like there's nothing illegal about it, but it's actually a really gray area because you're not supposed to hold two status, but a pending green card application is not status. It gives you work authorization. You can use it, but then you're technically no longer on F1, but your CBIS is still there. So it's a bunch of confusions, but you can actually use the EAD, yes, and then you can attend school, but not really as an F1. But what's really confusing is that your CBIS will survive. Okay, most likely. All right, so someone just sent me a question to Messenger. Apparently he can't post a question in the live stream. Are you watching my live stream? If you're watching my live stream and you can't post a question, you can just Facebook Messenger to me and I'll answer in the live session. That way you can listen to it and it saves me from having to type it like in a messenger. Okay, great, he's listening. Okay, so I have a question. Is it good to apply for green card now or wait until January till new administration comes? Of course it's better to wait. Why rush now? Because right now you're going to be subject to the new prevailing wage rule if you apply for the green card right now. So if you imagine if you do it today and you get the prevailing wage back in March and the prevailing wage rule is still there, and then it says okay, it's a really high wage and your employer doesn't want to pay it and it stops, and then but then in March the prevailing wage rule gets eliminated, then you have to refile another prevailing wage request and wait another 4 months. I mean, I guess that's fine if you have the resources to do it, if your employer doesn't care, because if you file it now and the prevailing wage rule gets eliminated in January or February, and then your prevailing wage determination comes back to you in April, then it should be the old rule, so the smaller amount. Then that way you buy yourself time. Oh wow, what a tough choice. I would say, okay, if you have resources and your employer doesn't care about filing multiple prevailing wage, which you can, then just do it now. I mean, I guess do it earlier. There's nothing wrong with that. Because who knows? It takes 120 days to get the prevailing wage determination back anyway, so by then, the new rule could be eliminated. That would be my question. That would be my answer. Next question. Can we make I-140 premium even if we already filed it in normal processing? Of course, it's called an upgrade. You can always upgrade a normal processing application to a premium processing if it's eligible. All right. I think there's another question. Somebody messaged me, but I don't know if he's watching the live stream. He wants to schedule a call to understand and resolve the above query, but I don't know what the above query is. Oh, okay. I'm just gonna send him my link to schedule the appointment. Okay, let's come back to the live stream. Are there any more questions? Doesn't seem to be. And I am getting a little bit tired. So let's end here today. And like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to Facebook message me. And we also have a group now. It's called US Visa, US Green Card and Work Visa Help Group. Let me get you the exact name. US Work Visa and Green Card and Citizenship Help Group. So if you type in like US Work Visa and Green Card and you look for the picture with the Statue of Liberty, that's us. So now we have like almost 10,000 members, and I go on there to answer people's questions every few days. And if you tell me that you're from the group, I will take you a little bit more seriously and answer your questions through Facebook Messenger. And I know it's late, so I don't want to keep everyone from, going back to their Netflix films. So let's go ahead and end it here. And yeah, and just in summary, good news all around. The new administration is probably going to bring things back to normal and reasonableness like before all these crazy stuff started happening 4 years ago. So just good things to look forward to, I guess. Be patient, wait for inauguration, and hopefully nothing terrible happens before then, and we'll have a good Christmas, a lovely Thanksgiving, and things will definitely be looking up after that. So look forward to 2021, even though COVID's still hanging in the air, but it's not that bad. Anyway, wear your mask, I guess. Have a good week, everybody.